Forgive the braggadocious title, but I think you'll have to agree that this is the first time that there's been this many amazing Super Mario Bros. Speedrunners in the same room, competing at the same time on original consoles, all using my custom hardware and software to combine everything together onto one screen simultaneously. Hi, I'm Matthew, or Flibbity Dibbity, and I'm going to show you just a few pictures and clips from our tournament a couple of weeks ago and talk about some things that went well and some things that went not so well. The actual main videos that will show all of the races themselves and the tournament in more detail are being edited now and should be posted to this channel in about mid-December. But for those of you who like to get technical, we're going to do a bit of that, and we're going to cover some really cool stuff that doesn't fit into those videos. This event was a huge milestone in my master plan and a major step forwards towards my ultimate vision. I personally believe that speedrunning benefits when thoughtfully moved out of the comfort of one's own home and with a strong emphasis on audience experience. Now, these are just my opinions, but I believe that live and in-person competitions are better than online ones, and true synchronous competitions with everyone starting at the same time are more enjoyable than asynchronous ones. There's a lot of challenges with this, and there are some downsides, and I appreciate it can't always be done, but when it can really be awesome. Now, I was very fortunate with the tournament earlier this month. I had a lot of great help from a lot of great people, including Derek and Kerry here. The majority of the footage in this video is from Derek, and I won't drone on except to say thank you to them for their help. Also, my amazing wife helped in so many ways, not least of which was taking headshots of the runners, which are amazing. We were also at a great location. John and the folks at Level 7 Games in Denver were extremely welcoming and super awesome to work with. The space was a perfect size to set up a ton of CRTs and everything, and that was fantastic. If you're local, I hear they're having a Black Friday sale, and you might want to check it out. Beyond that, we had some absolutely phenomenal speedrunners. I mean, are you kidding? 4 of the runners have held a main category world record in Super Mario Bros., and all of the others are not slouches either. We had some amazing play from everyone. And I will say that the live format led to some pretty amazing stuff, including some upsets that you might not expect. And there were a few other surprises and interesting things. You'll notice we put the current world record holder Nifsky in front of a cathode ray tube television holding a controller, and if you think that messed with his ability to play the game, well, you're just going to have to come back in a couple of weeks to find out. With respect to capturing the event and the runner reactions and editing these upcoming videos, I think that the crew did a fantastic job, but their job is not done yet. I mean, I haven't even seen what they're up to, and I'm very excited, and I have the utmost faith that we will all really enjoy what they pull together really soon. But let's talk about the tech and eventually get to talking about what went wrong and what I want to do better for next time, which I do want to have a next time. You know, one of the challenges is, when it comes to scheduling and getting people together, not everyone who wanted to come could come for a variety of reasons, and there were other difficulties. And of course, I didn't invite everyone or do a really good job of making this particular time open to everyone. And that's partly because, well, the size of the venue, the timing, but primarily because I wanted to protect myself from a little embarrassment, which is part of the reason why we didn't live stream this first time either. There was a non-zero probability of complete technological catastrophe, and to a certain extent, I wanted to know that if that happened, it would happen in front of fewer people. We were using original 1985 hardware and TVs from, like the 90s. I had 2 of my computers there running relatively untested and unproven code, some of which had been literally written the night before. Those of you who were there probably remember that, the dreaded jellyfish that showed up. Also, we were using my console mod, which, I'm not an electrical engineer, and honestly, it's a wonder that it worked at all. But there were some things that went great. We had a big TV up in the middle and a few other TVs around the room, and, my code did a great job of combining things together live. We had this beautiful 2-bit mini-map that I lovingly handcrafted. Maybe I'll talk more about that process sometime, but I think that's such a cool view with the Marios and the names, and So nice. We also had this beautiful Mario-style timing tower that seemed to hold up pretty well. Nice smooth animations when someone makes a mistake or someone else takes the lead. The times were pretty accurate too. I verified several of the runs with Bowser patterns after the fact, and it did a great job of timing things. Although the code behind this is actually awful. Like, legitimately would not pass my code review. I would banish this code back to the Shadow Realm. But it worked great and looked good too. Also, on the main screen, we had the main view, but I mean, come on, if you've seen any videos on my channel, then you know I can put Mario's on the same screen. Although, check out that tasteful opacity on those coins, yeah? I definitely didn't spend a ridiculous amount of time on that. So what didn't go well? Well, it was a slight recording issue for one of the races. Let's take a brief step back and get a high-level view of the tech. We have each console, which is modified with my mod, which is basically a logic analyzer. It watches for specific things inside the console, like when the central processing unit tells the picture processing unit where the sprites are. You know, I want to know that too. So my mod is programmed to send that information along USB back to the computer, which uses that to put everything together. In addition, the console creates composite video, which I split. One part goes to the TV, which the speedrunner uses, and one part goes to be recorded. Well, it should be recorded, and I had the stuff to do it, but I totally messed up here because I didn't really test this fully before. When I had the whole thing set up in my garage, I wrote some scripts and kind of tested here and there, and it looked good. But on the morning of, at the venue, after some other challenges, I go to start the backup recordings, and well, long story short, I could only record 2 at a time. I didn't really have time to figure it out, and I figured these are just backup recordings anyway. The easy caps honestly do a pretty bad job, and I wasn't planning on using these recordings at all. The real information is coming along USB over to the computer, and that's very easy to record and use and everything. So that's the main stuff, and that I did test fully in the garage and at the event, and I was happy with everything. It was all working fine. However, because of some poor engineering, poor design, whatever on my part, that recording relied on me pressing a button at the start and end of each race to turn it on and turn it off again. And that's obviously ridiculous. I absolutely could have automated that process, and even if I didn't automate it, I could have had a huge warning on screen that it wasn't being recorded, or I could have used the checklist that I prepared. Regardless, in the fray of the event, I missed recording one race, the second race of the Any% tournament. However, I did have my backup recording. You see, the main screen here, which was on display live on several TVs in the space, was being fed by one of my computers from an HDMI splitter. In the morning, I took an extra HDMI cable from the splitter and fed it into a capture card on my other computer and had that just recording all day long. So I have this footage of race 2. One aspect of the live recording is that the runners don't always start at the exact same time, and I don't blame them. It's a little challenging, and I could get my mod to start the game for them, but I feel like that's crossing an invisible line which I've set for myself, and that the mod should only observe and never change things on the console. I don't know, what are your thoughts? But obviously this recording is enough, right? Well, not really. After the fact, I generated these videos that show each player's individual screen with ghosts, a mini-map for them specifically, and a few other things. I made these videos to be sort of vertical with the idea that you could put the runner next to them at certain points throughout the main video. The challenge with this is, well, it's kind of information overload, so I'm not sure if that's the right way of going about things, but we're going to try it anyway. Without the raw data from my mod, I can't create this for Any% race number 2, which is, spoiler alert, but that's disappointing because this was an amazingly close race, which was decided by Cosmic going for and nailing the 1-frame wall jump in 8-4. Cosmic, Scalpel, and Nifsky all finished this race in under 5 minutes, and other runners also did really well, so I didn't want to lose this race to low quality video. But some of you will remember about a year ago when we combined every single sub 5-minute speedrunner into one video. We did that by using my open source program Graphite, which puts a task next to a video and lets you define what buttons are being pressed in order to recreate what happened in the video. It does take some practice and you have to take some liberties here and there, but I mean, I have a video, I need some tasks, so yeah, I did it. It's slightly complicated by the fact that the combined video here doesn't line up with the task, so more back and forth, and I can't use the opacity in Graphite, which was super useful. Also, a couple of times, runners weren't even on the mini-map, which required me to be a little creative. But I was able to get everything dialed in with the correct Hammer Bros, Cheap Cheeps, and Bowser patterns, which is pretty sweet. So, then I can just plop those together and voila. Pretty nice to spend 3 days defining over 150,000 button presses by hand instead of just clicking one button before the race. I could have just written some code. Or bought another hard drive and just recorded all day long. Good grief. Speaking of buying hard drives, for our next event, I want to make it bigger, better, and more amazing, and hopefully live stream the whole thing. I am seeking people and sponsors with skills and funds to make that a reality. You can reach out by email or on Discord. So definitely subscribe to catch the real main competition videos next month. And thank you for celebrating this massive milestone with me, and I hope you're excited for the next one. Maybe you'll even come by. Thanks so much.